This channel supports Extra Life in its efforts to raise money for the Children's Miracle Network. For more information about how to donate and join in their efforts, go to the link displayed here. Extra Life. Play games, heal kids.
What up, everybody? This is your boy Black Magus, and being without a console has made me do a lot of research on things. Since I do like to stream and make video content, I'm always looking for the next gadget because I'm a gadget person too, as well. And so I decided to start looking up some new stuff because it's like I'm gonna end up eventually replacing my PS4 with a PS4 Pro, and even though I know I'm not financially ready or personally interested in doing a total 4K upgrade, I started looking up some 4K stuff like TVs and what have you. And then I remembered the Elgato 4K 60 Pro, which just recently dropped. If you don't know what that is, basically it's Elgato Gaming's new capture device. Basically, you can stream off of it, and you can record video gameplay from your console or your PC. And looking into it, also you can do it with some other devices. It does do some mobile capture, and I believe if you have the right setup, you can get some retro capture from that too. But anyway, so I was looking at that, and I was wondering, like, what's the hype? Because me personally, when it comes to 4K, I've been saying since the hype began that it's not something that's worth it yet. We don't get broadcasts in 4K. And what I mean is networks don't broadcast in 4K. There's not a lot of 4K material out there, except for some streaming, like Netflix will do the 4K streaming. I'm not sure if Hulu does, but it's very limited where you get your 4K content. Hell, if you're a content creator, getting a 4K capture device may not be the best thing for you because of the limitations of the mediums that you would use to share your content. So that's why I kind of wanted to do this video, to talk about some of the things I saw that I found interesting when it came to the whole Elgato 4K 60 Pro and the rush to want to go and upgrade so that you can create 4K videos. And the facts are very, very interesting. So, first, Elgato always puts up a very good comparison of their equipment. And looking at their comparison, you see that pretty much every capture device that they have out currently, that hasn't been discontinued, I should say, because this only shows the 4K 60 Pro, the HD 60 Pro, the HD 60S, and the HD 60. Pretty much original Elgato, toss that out your mind. It's been discontinued. It's pretty old. Not many people are going to use that these days. Anyway, although there is a reason to use your old Elgato if you got your hands on one. But again, that's neither here nor there. Basically, all of the devices now that they have featured do 1080p 60 frames per second capture. That's significant because there are places like YouTube and Twitch that do allow you to stream and upload 60 frames per second content. So if that's what you're looking for, you could check that off. Of course, the 4K 60 Pro is the only one that'll do 4K resolutions. They all have instant view except for the H60, which I had. And I have to tell you, having the H60 Pro and not having the lag, having the one-to-one visual with what you're recording and what you're playing is very, very good. It makes it so that when you stream, you can watch your feed at the same time and not have any lag in it. So everything seems to run much smoother on those those avenues. Here's where the thing got really interesting to me, though. So basically, the only two that compress and encode video are the HD 60 Pro and the HD 60. I was surprised to see that the HD 60S didn't, but then I remembered that's more of a take it on the go type device. It's not necessarily supposed to be your main dedicated streaming device. It's for people who travel, who want to go places, who want to go to conventions and things like that, and who have special setups to where they can capture game footage and share it with their communities. Of course, the 4K 60 Pro doesn't have it either. What that says to me is that you better have a lot of capacity if you're going to be making 4K content. You need to have a huge amount of storage set aside because 4K video is going to be quite large. 1080p 60 video is already pretty large in itself. That can take an hour of that can take, oh gosh, I feel like an hour of gameplay sometimes can take about 30 gigs for me. I can actually look and give you a good comparison because I do have like a video that's about 3 hours long. Okay, so 3 hours of about close to 4 hours of Assassin's Creed footage that I took is about 82 gigs. So break that down an hour at a time, and yeah, that's about 20 gigs an hour. So just imagine with 4K resolutions how high that capacity is going to be, especially since it's not encoded. There is no compression rate to this, so it's going to be a large raw file. Speaking of raw files, you don't get a master copy like you do with the HD 60 Pro and the HD 60. Again, the HD60S is more of a mobile type thing. You take it on the go. But even still, with the 4K 60 Pro, once you record and you're finished, you better let that thing finish capturing, because if it doesn't, there's no master copy to go back and to have it copy the file onto your computer. So keep that in mind. Unlimited capture, they all have that. Basically, take unlimited with a grain of salt, because unlimited means depends on how much capacity you have on your hard drive. Let's be honest, because I've skirted on maxing out my hard drive, not knowing that I didn't have enough space. And I gotta tell you two things. One, it bogs your computer down and everything to a screeching halt almost. And two, it will kick itself off when there's not enough space to do anything. In fact, it will probably freeze your computer up, which I've had happen to me once before. So be careful. Just make sure that unlimited capture thing, you make sure to keep in your mind the caveat that this is dependent on the space that you have. Okay. Flashback recording, they all have that, which is good. If you don't know what flashback recording is, basically what Elgato lets you do is you turn on this software, you start gaming. You don't have to click the record button. You have up to about, I think it's 2 hours now, to decide if you do something cool and you forgot to hit record. You can just rewind you can rewind it, sort of. It's kind of like rewinding it, because what it's doing in the background is it's keeping a kind of ghost file, to simplify it, of what you're playing for up to 2 hours, and it'll let you go back, rewind it to whatever point you want to, either in the middle, 15 minutes in, what have you, beginning, and then you can like pull that bar back, hit record, and it'll dump all of that into a master file, except for with the 4K 60 and the HD 60S. But it'll start recording with that already with the previous 2 hours already cached in. So when you hit stop on the recording, everything, including that 2 hours that you didn't hit record on, will pretty much transfer into a file onto your computer. Thing about the 4K 60 Pro though is it only does flash recording up to 1080p 60 frames per second. So if you think you're gonna flash record 4K content, you can't. It won't allow you to. You just basically have to keep your settings on 1080p 60 if you're that person who likes to keep your Elgato software open but don't like to always hit record while you're playing. Stream command, again, they all do it, but the 4K 60 Pro is limited to 1080p 60 frames per second. So you won't be able to stream 4K content, which again makes sense because no one's out there allowing people to stream 4K content, at least from a gaming perspective, as far as I know. Interface, of course, is just saying what type of PCI port you need. PCI 4, which is the current, is what the 4K 60 Pro, but most people have more current motherboards. I'd say as long as your motherboard's not more than 4 or 5 years old, you should be good. You should at least have one PC IE X4 slot in your computer, and then the max bit rate, of course. 4K 60 basically trumps them all. I hate that I said that because it reminds me of something disgusting. But anyway, up to 140 megabits per second for the 4K 60 Pro, which more than doubles any of the maximum output of all of those. So now here's the other interesting thing that I found out about the 4K 60 Pro is HDR. A lot of people have talked about HDR, about how it's not necessarily needed for 4K, but it is a good feature because it helps flesh out the details of what's going on. You know, it accentuates the dark and the light very, very well. And a lot of 4K TVs have that feature. 4K 60 Pro does not allow you to record with HDR. So you can't record on an HDR signal. If you have like a Xbox One X or a PS4 Pro, can't use the HDR if you want to record. So make sure that you set your HDR off when you're going to record. And that might mean something to a lot of people because, again, people are all on this 4K craze and whatnot. And the fact of the matter is not everything's ready. Just like I'm looking at their facts about it too, and they're talking about the type of settings that you need to do for OBS Studio. There's a specific type of setting that you need to do if you want to get 4K streaming. Of course, know that it's probably not going to be on the back end, or not the back end, but on the viewer's end in that content. So yeah, you could set it up. I don't know how effective that's going to be because it's going to be downscaled. So there's some very interesting facts about the whole 4K 60 thing and whether or not you should get into it. I leave it strictly up to you. In my opinion, we're not ready for that yet. It's not time. Let everything catch up to where you can do that. That being said, I still applaud Elgato because Elgato has seemingly always wanted to be ahead of the curve and make sure that they're ready for when the next trend evolves into the standard, and this is going to help. Of course, this is their first shot at it, so you might want to take a pass on this as well, because just like with the original Elgato, and then when they got to the HD 60, finally, they started to incrementally go up to where they got to the HD 60 Pro, and then the mobile HD 60S, where you got one-on-one viewing of your content while you record. You got streaming, you got everything. It made it a much more robust, all-in-one piece of hardware. And eventually, the 4K 60 Pro or its successor is going to be that. I don't think the 4K 60 Pro itself is going to be that thing right now. I think it's for those who just want to have the new, or who are in a rush to try to get ahead of the curve. Sure, get it. Just know that you're going to end up being behind the curve because of how Elgato progresses. They've pretty much just about every year to year and a half done something to improve ever since they dropped the HD 60. So their technology is speeding up. Their drops are speeding up. You may want to hold off for whatever they're going to call it, the 4K 60 Pro 2 or whatever naming convention they use. So hopefully this is giving you guys some food for thought. I wish I had this just to give some hands-on display, but again, I feel like it's not necessary to have hands-on with this, because at the end of the day, there's no way for you, like with this YouTube video that I'm doing, to actually get a good sense of what this thing running at full power would be like. You know what I mean? But hey, it is what it is. Like I said, just be careful. Just make sure you know that when you get this, things aren't going to be necessarily caught up to what you want to get out of this, or what you can get out of this. Okay, you're probably better off if you have the slot space than getting the HD60 Pro. I recommend that. It makes things much faster. The HD60 though, I have that as well. It's a very competent machine. It was great when I had it. I just got the 60 because I wanted to have an internal thing, so I wouldn't have to have all these like devices daisy chained. Just HDMI from console or from monitor to back of the PC, and then back of the PC into my video cards port, or back of my PS4. You know what I mean? So it's the HD60 Pro simplifies things, and the 4K Pro is going to simplify things for people because this is an internal card as well. But again, I can't stress this enough. Things aren't perfect right now with it, so be cautious. Don't buy this thinking, yeah, I'm going to just put out all this great 4K content and everybody's going to love it and be spellbound for it. Slow your roll. Let YouTube and them start to catch up and graft onto this first. Then start thinking about it if you're a content creator and want this. Anyway, I know this video is kind of long, but hopefully I was able to give you guys some food for thought, some information that may be pertinent to what you want to do as far as purchasing a capture device, or just purchasing something from Elgato strictly. I just try to be as informative and hopeful as possible. So that's just my 2 cents on it. Anyway, as always, you guys, feel free to hit me up. Let me know what you're thinking. I'll holler at you later. This your boy Black Makers, and I'm out. Deuces.